Kadosh, Boker Or. Masechet Avodah Zarah, Daf Yomi, Daf Ayin Bet, Amud Aleph 72a1. Yeah, like Ayin Bet Shemot of Hashem. Ayin Bet. Yeah, Ayin Bet Atvan. You know, Ayin Bet, 72. Yeah, Soissons douze. Yeah, listen to this. Umay. Yeah, Yavdu Chamimi. Says like this. Umay lo nitan liyishavon. What is the kavanah of Rabbi Yochanan that you're not going to be able to give it back? Which means that the Gazlan Akum is not going to be chayav to give to the Israel if he stole less than Shaveh Pruta. So he says, De'eno betorat hishavon. Because since he didn't acquire it, so that's why he doesn't have to give it back. Because he doesn't have to give it back because he didn't actually acquire it. Let's see the seifa. What happens if the akum comes and he takes it from him, from the Gazlan Rishon? He's going to be killed. So one more time, the goy comes and he steals from you, and then another goy comes and he steals from him. So therefore, what happens? He gets killed. I understand the reisha because he was mitzayed Israel, and we already said yesterday that if a goy is going to be mitzayed Israel, he's chayam mita. Ela seifa, but the seifa, Mayavi, what did he do? What did he do? He took it from another one. Right? One took from the other. Gazlan took from another Gazlan. Ela shemamina, but we learn from here. Meshicha beoved kochavim kone shemamina. You're right. This is what we learn from you. We learn from here that by a goy, it helps mishicha. What is mishicha? When you pull it towards you. So now אתה מושך את זה לעצמך, זה עובד. בשבילי בשביל גוי. גוי יכול לקנות בצורה הזאת. Story. You guys like story times, no? סיפורים, אתה אוהב סיפורי סבתא. תשמע. ההוא גברא. תאמר לחברה. Yeah, there was a person that he told his friend. If I'm going to sell you this field in the future, yeah, I'm going to sell it to you. And they made a kinyan, but they didn't say the price. So then he went and he sold it to somebody else. Obviously, the other guy was going to give him a much higher price. Amar of Yosef says of Yosef, kana kama, right? The first one already acquired it. Elmaleh Abaye, he says Abaye valo pasak, but there was no mechir. Well, he acquired it. Very nice, right? He comes, he's on the phone, he's checking, but there was no prices. So menat teimra decholecha de lo pasak. How do we know that if you do not make a psak shelo kana, that you don't acquire? The Tanam is we learned to the Mishnah mocher yain, right? You know lovel kochavim. You're going to sell wine to lovel kochavim. Pasak at shelo madad. If you were posek the psak, remember pasak here means that you give a psak of the price. Right? אתה אמרת כמה הסכום של הכסף, שזה יעלה. עד שלא מדד. So says the Gemara, how do you know that if they did not pasak a mechir, lo kana? The Tanam we learned in the Mishnah, mochedi no lo v'dokovim pasak at shelo madad damam mutarim. It's going to be permitted madad at shelo pasak if they measured it without the psak of the money. Tamav asurim, it's going to be asur. My haviala. So what's the halacha? So he says, my haviala ke the kamina, just like we said already, right? Dilma maybe chumra the nesech shani. Maybe the chumra the nesech is going to be different. Okay, just like we said. He says like this: Tashema, the Amar Ravidi bar Avin says Ravidi bar Uvda. There was a story about Rav Chasta in the house of Rav Chasta. But Rav Chasta be Rav Huna, and Rav Chasta brought the story in front of the academy of Rav Huna. Upashte meha, and they brought it from this Braita, the Tanya. Mashach marav upoalav. If the lokeach comes and he was moshech, right? The chamarav, which is remember the chamarav is the donkey drivers, right? Upoalav and the workers, right? And vichnisam toch beton, he puts it into his house. Ben pasak shalom madad ben madad lo pasak. Doesn't matter whether they put, whether doesn't matter which one came first, whether they measured it without the price or they had the price without the measuring it. Lokana, they didn't acquire it. And both of them could retract. So you see from here, right, in the first case where it says that there was no actual kinyan, not in the meshicha or anything else, right? So there's no kinyan meshicha. So he comes and he says at the end of the day, there was no meshicha. So he comes and he says, and also kinyan chatzer didn't happen as well. So he comes and he says, right, in the second case, right, he says it's madadat shelo pasak means that he didn't pasak the mechir, right? And still we're saying that they could retract. If he you know, how do you call it when you take off the things, lefarek, right, to unload, right? Here we're talking about pirkan, which is unloading the animal. Because if they already had the psak of the value, So therefore the price, meaning here we're talking about the set value. אז הם לא יכולים לחזור בהם. מדד עד שלא פסק, שהם יכולים לחזור בהם, they could retract. There was a story. There was a story that somebody said to his friend, if I'm going to sell this land, I'm going to sell it for 100 zuz. So he went and he sold it for 120. Rav Kana says the first one was the one that bought it. So he says what? He was honest because of the money. He obviously wanted another 20 zuz. The halacha is like Yaakov ben Pekod that he's allowed to do that. That means even though I come and say, so imagine somebody comes and he says, listen, I want to buy your car. So listen, if I would sell the car, I would sell for 100,000. And all of a sudden I come and I sell for 120,000. You're going to say, no, but I wanted it for 100 and I would have paid 100. I said, no. The fact that the money is being onesoti, that I'm selling it for that price, I'm allowed to. And it's not, and you don't get it for 100. I sold it for 120, I sold it for 120. Amalei, so he comes and he says, Kideshayma batlata. He says, just like three people are going to come and they're going to evaluate it. Afilu tremi gotlata, even if two out of the three people, right? That means you don't actually need all three. Kide amre bitlata, right? He says it's just like he's saying the three people, right? Kide amre is without saying the word shuma. Shuma is an evaluation. Kide amre is like what they say. So he says, ad de amre bitlata. Kide shayme barba, de amre barba. So there's going to be four. Right? Also in such a case where he didn't say shuma, and he was makpid on more people, so therefore for sure the kavanah is all four of them have to come to the same price. Meaning that he wants that it should be a good set market value in order to come and to sell the property. So Elmaleh, he comes and he says, when he comes and he says that it's going to be evaluated. Shuma is an evaluation, okay? By three people. And three people came and they evaluated it. And then another person came and he said, bring another three, that they're more experts. Amar Papa, Dina Udu Ma'akev. He could be Ma'akev, right? He says that means basically he could be Ma'akev the Mekach until Bemet another three people come. So basically I come and I say, you know what? I want other three people to come and they're better experts. I could stop them. So Matkifla Ravuna asks, Bereda Rav Yoshua, whoever said that they're better. So Dima, maybe the first ones are better. So the halacha is like Ravuna Bereda Rav Yoshua, that whoever said that each one is better, I mean they can't stop. Imagine right now I come and I tell you, look, I got evaluated. This is what it is. You said, no, I want this guy. Why? They're better. Who told you? So therefore that's it. It retracts. Okay, Mishnah. I met Amudalef towards the bottom. Mishnah. Yeah? Chaval. He says, Natal et mashpech umadad letoso chito shel kochavim. If he comes and he takes the mashpech, so this is like something to pour into, and he pours it into the plate, the utensil, the receptacle of the kochavim. Then again, he comes and he measures it in the Yisrael. If there's still wine which is left over, asur. It's going to be asur bana. Why? Because it got mixed up. The yain nesech, right, which is the stam yanam, right, with our wine. If you're going to come and you're going to pour from one utensil to another, whatever you poured out is going to be mutar. But whatever you poured in is asur. You took up a jug and you poured. Whatever's left behind is mutar. Whatever went out is going to be asur. So Tnan Hatam, we learned over there, Hanitzok v'katafres umashke tofeach eno chibur. Nitzok. Everyone remember what nitzok was? What was nitzok? The chibur. Very good. From the top to the bottom. That's called nitzok. Nitzok. The katafras. Katafras is basically a mashke which is shotef yored al premadron talul. So he says it's like a pouring down. It's going down on a slant, right? Umashke tofeach, or it's already moist. Eno chibur. It's not a chibur, not for tumah velo letahara. Not for tum'ah and not for tahara. Ha-ashboren, which is basically mashke that came into one area, one place. Right? So he says, chibur letum'ah v'l'yan tahara. It is a chibur for tum'ah and tahara. So Amar Ravuna says, nitzok v'katav mashke tofeh chibur l'yan yain nesech, but it is going to be a chibur to do the yain nesech. Meaning, tum'ah v'tahara, no. But yain nesech, yes. So Elmaleh Rav Nachman Ravuna says, how do you know? If you're going to tell me the yes, look at the Seifa. The Seifa says, Ashboren is chibur l'tumah v'tahara. Tumah v'tahara hu davi chibur, but yain nesech, no. So therefore, you can't bring a proof from this Braita. Meaning, we wanted to bring a proof from the Braita that the Braita didn't talk about yain nesech. So we want to say this, linyan tumah v'tahara lo, yain nesech ken. So he says, but look at the Seifa. The Seifa said only to do with Ashboren it is a tumah v'tahara, not yain nesech. So therefore, it comes out that it's also not yet. So you can't bring a proof from here. Tznan we learned in another Mishnah. Natal meshpech umadal letoch zichuto shel v'chazar umadal letoch zichuto shel Yisrael. Ayin bet amubet. Yes, 72b. Im yesh bo hakevet yain, if there's still wine which is left behind, asur. Ha kevet yain my kamitzara. Why is it whatever left behind is going to be asur? Is it not because of nitzoch chibur? Shemamina nitzoch chibur, right? One more time. I've got a mashpech. A mashpech is something that I use like a type of a hose that is going from the top to the bottom. We said if there's leftover there, and now I come and again I use it, it's going to be asur because of the leftover wine that's up here. But how did the wine up here become asur? It's only because of nitzoch chibur. So therefore, obviously, nitzoch chibur is asur. So he says, no, he says that the wine went up to the top part. Meaning, you know how many times the wine is by the way, we learned this in Psachim, if you remember. Wine is the only liquid that makes a dome. You understand? No? You don't understand what I'm saying? When you come and you take a tea, lemonade, whatever you want, you pour, it becomes equal. You pour a little bit more, what happens? It spills out. Wine, when you pour wine, even when it's flat, it will make a dome before spilling out. Meaning that's the only one that it does not spill out immediately. You never realize it? We learned it in Psachim. בגלל זה הבנתי. עכשיו הבנתי. Okay, fine. But anyway, so what happens is that the wine. Okay, so תבדוק את זה. Yeah. So what happens? No, הוא חזר בתשובה. זה לא. Yeah. So what happened? What happens is that right? Yeah. What happens is that it's going to go up, right? It's going to go up, right? And what happens is that it makes like the spuma. How do you say the thick the foam? Yeah. So this foam is going to go up, and that's why I made it not kosher. You can bring a proof from here that it's okay chibur. No. So if it is a question by nitzoch chibur, right? But for sure it's going to be asur. Meaning, if the how did you call it again? The foam of the wine came up and it touched the top part of the top utensil, for sure it's going to make it into a problem of yain nesech because the bottom one belonged to a goy, right? But he says, to do nitzoch chibur, we still have that question. So now we're going to try to find out. So Tashema. Just to clarify. Well, Tashema, we learned me'aremi kli likli et sheme'aremi menu. Yeah, ad bein meni asur shemamina nitzoch chibur. So he comes and he says this: when you're going to be me'areh yain from one kli to another kli, that which you're going to be me'areh mimenu is going to be mutar, but in between it's going to be asur shemamina nitzoch chibur. Right? Again, the same thing. So he says. In nitzoch chibur, afilu degaveh demananim. So he says, no, 1 second. If you're going to tell me it's nitzoch chibur, the concept of nitzoch chibur means that even on the top is going to be asur. You didn't say that. You said in between. You didn't say the one on the top. So if it's not nitzoch chibur, so he says, right? So he says, halakash yadekam mekatef katufe. Again, you're doing irui me'at, right? So therefore, it's not in one shot. So he comes and he says, so that's why the wine in the kli alyon does not become asur. Mikol makom, nevertheless, nitzoch chibur. So he says, according to your reasoning, let's see the seifa, the one that you poured into the side of it, that's going to be asur. Whatever's in between is going to be mutar. So you can't bring a proof from here again. Meaning, again, whenever you go to the reisha, you bring one proof, but then you go to the seifa and you bring the exact opposite. So you can't bring a proof from that braita. So Tashema, we're going to try to bring another proof now. If you're going to pour from a chavit to the bore, right, from a barrel to the pit. Right? Now you've got a kiluach which is going down the barrel. So it's going to be asur. So Shesha says, what are you talking about? Again, we're talking about the goy is the one that's pouring it. So since the goy is the one that's pouring it out, it's coming from his koach. So since it's coming from his koach, that's why it's asur for yain nesech. But nothing to do with nitzoch chibur. Okay? Then he comes and he says, yeah, he says if it's going to be the Ovek Chovim which is pouring it out, so therefore even the entire barrel should become asur. So he said, no, Koach the Ovek Chovim is only with Rabbanan. So that means only whatever fell into the pit, the rabbis made a decree, not the one that stayed behind. So because it's an isur d'Rabbanan, הם רק עשו גזרה על מה שבתוך הבור, לא מה שבתוך החבית. So Elmaleh Rav Chasta Lana Usaviata. Says Rav Chasta to the people that were selling wine, when you're measuring the wine for the goyim, katuf katfe, be makpid to do it little by little. Inami naputze neputze, or you have to do it right very far, right, in order that it's not going to be mechaber, right? Why? Because if not, then it's going to become a problem of nitzoch chibur. Amalu harava lana ushofchai. Also, Rava came and he said, told these shofchim, again, this is their job to put wine in the barrels. Ki shofchitu chamra, when you're going to come, you're going to pour the wine. Loli kavro v'kol, the goy should not come to help you. He says, right? He says like this. He says, dilma mishtalitu v'shaditu le'aleh. He says, but maybe you're going to forget, right? And then he's going to do it by himself. Meaning the goy is doing it by himself without your help. The ka'ate mikocho v'asirin, and it's going to become asur. Okay, story. There was a person that came and he brought up wine from the barrel, right, with a tzinor, with a gishta bat gishta. So he went and he put his hand on it. And Rava came and he said the entire wine is asur. Why? Because he put his hand on it. So ki'ilu, he touched the wine, right, which is coming out at the beginning of the, the mekaleach, right? That means basically he's coming up with like a straw type of a thing, and he touched it. So that's it. Everything is asur. So Amaleh Rav Pap l'Rava, Vam l'Rava, Matal l'Rava, Vam l'Ravin l'Rava. Why does it become asur? Benitzok. So then this is a proof. Nitzok chibur. If you're going to tell me it's because of nitzok, so then it makes sense. That's why it's asur. So he says no. He says all the wine is being moshech and going out because of this gishta. So because of that, it's not because of nitzok chibur. Since the only way that it gets out of the barrel is through this mechanism, so that's why it's always going to be asur. Amar morzuta bezav nachman kanishkanim, which is a kli rachav that there has like a whole bunch of tzinurot, right? That means basically it's like a very interesting thing. It's like basically you put it inside and it's got a whole bunch of straws, and then you have different people come and they could all drink from it. You understand? It's like a very cool invention. It's like a water fountain that's split into a few of them that you could all just, right, all take at the same time. So he says it's mutar. The hanimilu, one of these words, the kadim pasek Yisrael, when he already went and he stopped before the goy stopped. But if the goy stopped for drinking first, then it's assumed for the Yisrael to continue, because when the goy stops drinking, the wine, right, which touches his mouth becomes yain esech, goes back down, and then backwash, right? So very, very yes. He went and he said that it's permitted with this kanishkanin, right? Right? I give him from the top. He himself was the one that was drinking with the akum, with this type of a